5567.
Back on the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business. And this week I'm joined in studio by Darrin Lowe of Celergo Global Payroll Services. Darrin, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. So, Darrin, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the services that your company provides.
Sure. We provide global payroll in over 110 countries that we're actually physically in today, with a capability of over 140. And it really provides, from the global multinational down to, a business in 3 or 4 countries, full compliance within, their global payroll operation.
So, Darrin, as the sales manager, it sounds like you still have another few countries to go. Are you doing a lot of travel these days?
Yeah. Well, most of our companies are really U.S.-based multinationals, with some UK-based and some throughout the world. So I was actually recently in Ireland, but overall, I'm not traveling around the globe totally. But a lot of our clients are obviously U.S.-based multinationals.
Well, your kids joined us in the studio, and I can't imagine you would want to be home too often. So I'm glad to hear that answer. So, Celergo, you guys are providing global payroll services. Can you give us an example of some of the companies that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our largest company is a Fortune 500 company. They're in over 85 countries that we do payroll in. They are anywhere from energy to anywhere from energy to oil type companies within the global conglomerate, down to, we have lots of clients who, have 2 or 3 countries. They're small businesses under 100 people, but they happen to be in London, Hong Kong, Singapore, and they need some help managing that global payroll operation.
With such dynamic global reach, it's exciting that that your company calls the Chicagoland area home. Where's your offices?
Our offices are in Deerfield, Illinois, just off Lake Cook Road.
And how large is the team at Celergo Global Payroll Services?
So our total team is about 110 people. We have about 70 people here in Deerfield, and then we have offices in Singapore, Budapest, Hungary, and also a team in Bogota, Colombia.
Fantastic. So we're talking with Darrin Lowe of Celergo Global Payroll Services. Darrin, do you mind telling us the story of the company? When did you guys get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So our founder, Michelle Hanna-Michael, who's still with us today as our strategy officer, started it out of her basement 11 years ago and really found a niche in, she actually started an expat company, and, all these companies kept saying, great, you can do my expats, but what about my 5 people in France, right? And that's really where we grew. We still do expatriate payroll today, but obviously a majority of our payrolls are local payrolls in those 110 countries.
So, Darrin, the payroll industry and just in general, there's a lot of regulation that takes place. What do you think is the biggest challenge as well as the biggest opportunity for you guys right now? What sort of issues are you facing and trying to conquer?
Yeah, I think our biggest challenges are just, within these countries, Russia is a great example right now of a country that, is kind of going in, inside Russia and wants to keep the data in Russia and those type of items. And that's, really affecting companies like Google, but it's also affecting our clients. And, we're lucky enough today to have, partners in Russia that help us guide us through those type of things. So it really helps us understand that. But, a lot of the complexity is, countries today are kind of, becoming more and more restrictions and not less, and really understanding that for clients who, may not have people on the ground to help them through those type of problems.
So your title is you're the sales manager, and sales in my book equals relationships. So tell us a little bit about how you've gone about the relationship process and working with Celergo and doing the outreach and growing the company's reach really around the world.
Yeah, so we've been very lucky. So the market has really went to the concept of, they're buying really all these big HR systems, and they have a lot of money into their HR systems, and they're really helping us build those relationships within the clients. But obviously, it's a huge trust factor for us. So clients buy who they trust. And for us, that cycle can often go 6 to 9 months of building trust and letting them know, we will take care of that. We will take on your compliance, and we will take that huge headache off you as a company.
Interesting. So what about networking? Are you doing a lot of networking these days?
Yeah, I do a good amount of networking. A lot of our relationships really come from the partners, our big HCM partners, Ultimate Software, Workday, for example. And we do a lot of work within those companies to network our way and make sure that their salespeople trust us as we go through that. And then obviously LinkedIn and those type of things are very important to me.
So Celergo Payroll Services, you guys are based in Deerfield, Illinois, a little over 110 people, which is pretty amazing. And can you tell us, now that since you are a global company, what is the place that you'd really like to travel to?
Well, I'd love to go back to Barcelona, Spain, because I thought it was amazing. I also think Moscow, Russia would be awesome. It just
Russia
seems like I love Russian history. I was a history major, actually, and it seems like a fascinating place to go visit.
Fantastic. So once again, we're talking with Darrin Lowe of Celergo Global Payroll Services. In a moment, we'll have you share your contact information, but you are joined here in studio by some family. Do you mind introducing us to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with my wife, Heather, and my daughters, Lily and Charlotte Lowe.
And they are waving right now. So, Darrin, thanks for joining us in the studio. How can our listeners contact you and Celergo if they want to learn more about your work and perhaps get a little bit of advice as well?
Absolutely. So my direct number is 847-512-2638, or you can come visit our website at www.celergo.com and check us out and see some of the great work we're doing across the world.
Well, we'll have you back on to talk a little more about your global payroll services. Maybe by then you will have visited some of those countries that you mentioned. Really exciting, Darrin. Thanks for joining us on the show. Get Down to Business is also brought to you in part by Everett Wealth Solutions, a registered investment advisor and financial planning firm, a fiduciary advisor that helps you create your personal wealth. You can find them at everettwealthsolutions.com or call 708-771-7777. After the break, we're going to be talking with State Representative Chad Hayes, who's going to tell us a little bit about the budget situation that the state of Illinois is going through. And at the end of the show, I'm going to have my friend Avi Lesser back on the program to give you a few important announcements about Tandem HR. You're listening to the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship.